porn collection as Novice girl. I grew up in a very traditional family. I mean, if you wanted to learn about sex, you had to do it the way my father taught it, by asking him questions. Like, how do women's butts look? Because the answer to that is always big. Then, we'd read magazines or books and we'd discuss it. Somehow, with our help, I learned about all sorts of interesting stuff. The good and the bad. But I never had the balls to buy a porno magazine or a DVD. It's not something that happened until recently. Ever since I started my new job, I've been on the computer in the lunchroom. The coworker that sits next to me started to ask me about the movies that I would like to see, as we ate our lunch. We discussed the movies in theaters, the cable on-demand choices and other things. One day, he asked me if I had ever watched a porno. I did not have the balls to tell him I had, but after a few moments of hesitation I told him, I did. After a moment of listening to him go on and on, I told him that I was surprised that he asked me. He told me it was a girl thing and I asked him, how can that be a girl thing? We started chatting about this and he said, I like the thinking about it, but when I actually sit down and watch it, it's gross. After that I knew I had to watch a porno. I made it clear that I did not want him to get involved. I bought the DVD and sat down to watch it. The whole time, I'm thinking about this coworker and trying to figure out what to say. Finally I said, so, if I'm sitting on the couch, I want to get closer to you. And if I go down on you, will that get you off? Okay, that's not exactly what I said. We talked about what it meant and what it would look like if I were sitting on the couch and we did it. He was very excited and kept grabbing me and kissing me and saying how hot I was and how he wanted to stick his tongue down my throat. As we sat there, I started to feel really uncomfortable. I kept telling him that I was uncomfortable. And as he kept trying to position himself and kiss me, I finally blurted out, I don't want to have sex. No, it's fine. I'm a guy. I don't need to have sex with you. I just want to do it. And, yes, we finally had sex. A few weeks later, I was at work and he walked in to say hi. He said, so, I wanted to tell you about the porno I watched. My mind was racing, I just wanted to get him out of the store and to my car. I wasn't sure I wanted to know the details. I told him that I was curious, but needed to know if it had been alright. He told me it was a girl thing. And we went back and forth a few times until I told him that I had made it clear that I didn't want to have sex. And he said that he understood and that he was not expecting me to. I also told him that I thought he was really cute and that I had a big crush on him. He laughed and said, I know you do. And, that's okay, too. About a month later, I was at work and I needed to go to the bathroom. I asked if he wanted to come with me and he said that he would. He even offered to go get me a drink and said, if you want to hold my hand, you're welcome. By the time we got back to the room, I felt really uncomfortable. As we sat there talking, I kept thinking that I just wanted to get out of there. I had this feeling in the pit of my stomach that he was going to try and kiss me. I started talking about getting a different car and how I thought I was going to be able to afford it soon. I didn't know what to do. I kept trying to get him to talk to me, but he kept insisting that we talk about the porno. Finally, he said, you're not going to be offended by this, are you? He grabbed my hand and rubbed his fingers over mine. I was instantly taken aback by it. I told him no and he said, it's not what you think. It's just something I am into. I started feeling really uncomfortable and asked him if he was sure he didn't want to be in the same room with me and he said that he was just trying to help me understand. I told him that I didn't need a friend. He said he was really sorry and that I was going to be his friend. And that's what happened. We were friends for the next 2 years. We did everything that friends do. We hung out at each other's houses. We went on dates. We talked on the phone. I had told him that I didn't want to have sex with him because I had made it clear that I didn't want to. He insisted that he didn't need sex and that it was something he did with his girlfriend, but I kept thinking, I don't want to do it. I also felt like I had somehow insulted him and made him feel uncomfortable. And so we continued to be friends. I continued to avoid having sex with him. Then, one night he told me that he had hooked up with someone else and that he didn't think he was going to be able to keep things going. I was very upset and told him that I thought he was just having sex with me because we were friends. And that he was making me out to be a sex toy. I just remember feeling so empty and lonely. I told him I couldn't do it anymore and he agreed and said that he understood. And so we parted ways. We still talked. I asked him about it and he told me that he thought I was okay and that I just wasn't really into it. I didn't know what to think. Was it true? What did I want? I felt so confused. He told me that the person he had done the hookup with was a girl that he had known for years. She had done porn, but she had a career and she also helped other girls get started. And he told me that she was a really sweet person and that he really liked her. I felt guilty and sad. We remained friends for the next year and I learned a lot from him. He really was a good friend. He introduced me to other porn stars and I became friends with many of them, too. It wasn't until several years later that I learned from a very trusted source that he wasn't telling the whole story. It turns out that this wasn't even the first time he had done something like that. It was just the first time he had told me the truth. That was one of the saddest things that I have ever learned about myself. When we were first introduced, he had said that he loved to make me happy. And I felt like I was happy. I didn't want to have sex with him. I was just interested in hanging out with him and watching him work. But, of course, that didn't last long. In the year that we were friends, I had known him for 3 or 4 times. And he had cheated on his girlfriend with me several times. He told me that he wanted to be friends but also that he didn't want to lose what we had. So he continued to flirt with me. I avoided the subject. He knew that he was being very close-mouthed about the relationship and he knew that I knew. He liked me and I was helping him out a lot. I didn't want to lose that. And so it went on for a year. And I had completely fallen in love with him, but I also knew that I didn't want to have sex with him. At that point, I was 24 years old and in love and had always been attracted to bad boys and guys that had secrets and were kind of in the closet. And he was all of those things. He told me that he had a great relationship with his girlfriend and that he really loved her. That didn't change the fact that he was attracted to me. And that was one of the things that eventually made me walk away from the situation. But in the end, I really believe that if I had had sex with him, that he would have left his girlfriend for me. And so I am grateful to him for protecting her. At that time, I didn't know about the situation he was in with his girlfriend. And I didn't want to know about it. I just knew that I didn't want to be with someone who had been with someone else. It didn't help that the guy he had sex with was a married father and a fellow porn star. And I saw the way he treated her and I didn't want to have sex with someone that might do that to his girlfriend. I never saw him again after I walked away. I just didn't want to have sex with him. And he respected that.